episode 266 of Global from Asia. We are talking about deal making in Thailand.
Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business is broken down into straight up actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
Thank you, everybody, for choosing to download and listen and stream, or however you're getting this into your earbuds, or maybe you're putting it on the speakerphone at your office or your kids. My kids sometimes listen to this show, or they're listening to it. They just busted into my home office, honestly, during the recording. So I think they might be more popular. You guys might like listening to them more than me, maybe. Told my son maybe he'll become the host one day. 6 years for this show in October. There's been some pauses and ups and downs. Sometimes we've done 2 a week. Sometimes we do a show every other week. We're at 266 shows at the Global from Asia interview series. We had the e-commerce gladiator series, which had somewhat of an ending or a new beginning last week. Got a lot of feedback from listeners. And some people don't listen to every single show, so they didn't know the whole story, and they were listening to one show saying, Mike, I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. I guess I'm making the assumption some of you have followed some of the previous series of the shows. We will keep things rocking and rolling. This week's interesting follow-up. It's an interview. We have another business broker. I'm getting in the world of business brokering or buying and selling of businesses myself. This one's also about buying online businesses, more in the content and software as a service or SaaS business world. And he's based in Thailand. I bumped into him in a group, talk about Thailand elite visas and immigration, and we turned it into an episode. So it's a mix of lifestyle. Why choosing to live in Thailand? I've also chosen what's the pros, some of the cons, all these different immigration options. Some of you maybe watched my video blog at mikesblog.com, and you seen some of the struggles I've been through when I first came here. There is some hassles. I think immigration is a pain in the butt anywhere, but he talks about some of the perks he gets as a Thailand elite visa holder for 20 years, which is pretty amazing. And we get into some other stories, and in my blah 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 section after, I'll talk about some of my first year, almost coming into a year of living in Thailand, and we'll hear about some of my own pros and cons as well. So without further ado, let's get into this week's show. globalfromasia.com/episode 266 for the show notes and full transcription. We are investing in transcribing this, and we have an amazing team. LJ and Cheryl and Alvin and Mindy and more helping make this show go online after my big mouth is done talking on a microphone. But let's get into this week's show. Are you looking to get into Amazon FBA, but you don't want all the headaches of dealing actual business? So you're looking to be more of a passive investor, getting exposure to the growing FBA business? So, as you might have heard in recent episodes, I am a partner at alpharockcapital.com. It is a holdings company going through the process of being a proper fund, but not yet technically can say that, buying and holding and consolidating Amazon FBA companies. If you are interested to get involved or even maybe sell your business, check it out at alpharockcapital.com. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another Global from Asia podcast. We are talking Thailand and deals, trading, and lifestyle. I have an exciting guest on the show today, Michael. I'm going to try my best. Bereslavsky from Domain Magnate. So thanks so much for making it today on the show, Michael.
Thanks, Mike, and good morning.
Yeah, it's a great morning. So you're up earlier in Europe now, you say?
I am in Chiang Mai, Thailand right now.
Chiang Mai. Okay, great.
11 a.m.
Yeah, same time zone here. So we're talking today, we're going to kind of do a mix of business and lifestyle. As always, people like a little bit of the technical part of, living in different parts of Asia. And of course, you're a broker, deal maker. Do you want to maybe introduce yourself a little bit to our listeners?
Sure. So I run a small private equity firm called Domain Magnate. We buy businesses, we manage our own portfolio. We also recently started our first fund with investors. And our strategy is generally to buy content and SaaS-based businesses. So we buy them, we find the best deals, we manage them, and we try to improve things, and then we try to resell quickly to make some profits. And that's something that I've personally been involved in for the past 15 years. And that's also always been my passion, just buying and selling things. Online businesses, domain names, real estate in different countries, all kinds of things like that.
Exciting. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, I'm actually, I don't know if we should catch up too. I'm deeper into FBA lately, but I mean, I'm also passionate about content. I know a lot of our listeners do online businesses and SaaS and FBA. And in myself, actually, we're more actively working in consolidating certain FBA companies, which I could mention to you. It's really, really new for my own world, but it's exciting times, and it's great to have you on the show. So when you're doing that, so you pick to kind of center your life and work around Thailand. How did you first get into thinking Thailand's a place to be?
Well, I used to live in Israel, and then I started traveling a bit more, and I decided to see if I could move out and move to a different place. So I've been traveling quite a bit for the past 3 or so years, and I just found myself coming back to Thailand every time. So I figured that I quite like it, and I decided that I might just make it one of my sort of home bases. And I got a visa, and I even bought some real estate here, and that's it. And I've learned 3 words in Thai so far in 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I'm new to Thailand too, so I'm taking notes for myself. Been a little bit less than a year, and yeah, it's definitely a nice place and relaxed, good quality of life, cost of living, and it's true, right? We don't need to learn Thai, right? I mean, you said you have a few words, but you can live pretty well without the language. Would you say? I know some listeners might be concerned to travel outside their home country with languages and things like that.
Yeah, it's a difficult language to learn. Like it's not like English. It's not like the European languages. It's just more complicated.
Definitely. And then there's the different character sets. It always looks like these curly lines, and it's a tricky one. Well, there's the positives, but I think one of our first world problems, I think, of a lot of listeners and ourselves is we can kind of almost pick anywhere, but I don't think anywhere is exactly perfect. I think every country or location has negatives. What would you say, or maybe you don't see any? Is there anything that's an issue here in Thailand from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything has some benefits and some downsides. I had, it's funny you say that because I had that impression. Then I first decided to move out of Israel and decided that maybe I will just go and live somewhere else. And then I realized that I could live anywhere pretty much. And there is a lot of choice. So I've spent some time in Europe. I was in US, Canada. I was in South America. I traveled a little bit around Asia. And every new country I would go, I'd start thinking, would I like to live here? And just start looking at the different benefits and downsides, figuring out what fits best.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. And do you have any specific negatives you could think of, or in Thailand?
Yeah, then it comes to Thailand. I'm guessing when you compare it to the Western world, it's not as developed. So it's probably not as tidy, not as clean. The language certainly is a barrier. So most locals do not speak much English. Of course, the more educated people would generally speak good English, but most people in Thailand, I would say, do not speak almost any English at all. There are probably quite a few things you can come up with in terms of negatives, but I think the positives are pretty good as well. I'd say the main thing I like about Thailand is that the culture is really kind of nice and positive and polite. So the other day, a few weeks ago, I was in the Grab. Grab is it's like the local Uber, and About 10 or 15 minutes after I left the taxi, I suddenly saw the taxi driver come by. I was at the doctor's office, and he came by and he gave me a 1,000 baht note. And I was really surprised, like what's going on. I know that I paid automatically through the app. And it turns out I just dropped some cash in the cab. Like it just fell out of my pocket. And of course I had no idea. I would have never even noticed that. So he could have just, continued with it. But he realized that, and then he came back to return it. So, would that happen in a place where you're living right now? That's a question.
True. Yeah, they're very honest. I think it's also a lot of the religion is primarily Buddhist. There's temples everywhere, and they I think their lifestyle is not as money oriented, which sometimes might be a negative because they're not maybe always in a rush either, right? Sometimes I maybe add to it. It's a little bit slower here. I spent many years in China, so it's much slower here, which is a good and a bad thing. But yeah, you can definitely trust people. Don't, in my experience, don't like you are very honest and don't take advantage. But I think one of the issues for me, at least, has been immigration. I've been learning about it, but I think a lot of the digital nomads, maybe the startups, might not have good options. I guess you can take karate class or you can take Thai class. I think there's some options, but I think immigration is a little bit of a headache if you're not sure how long you'll stay or other options.
Yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that in the past couple of years specifically, they've gotten a lot more strict. So I know many people, some friends as well, that got in trouble with immigration recently in Thailand.
Yeah, they've been cracking down. I think it seems like it's happening everywhere around the world because I think years ago, governments didn't really know about this, whatever you want to call it, digital nomads or lifestyle business entrepreneurs, etc. They didn't really know, and we as online business people could kind of just go under the radar and live anywhere and just kind of do visa runs. But it's I think most governments now are realizing this is a thing, and they're catching up. And
yeah, absolutely.
And then I think the next part is, there are some options. I think Thailand has an elite visa program, which is interesting, but it's definitely would say more at the elite level. Do you want to share about this program that they have?
Yeah, so this is the one that I bought recently, and I gave it some thought. So there are several options right now. If you're coming in for like a short term, you can just get a regular visa. Well, this exemption, you can stay for 1 month in Thailand for 30 days with most passports, and then you can extend it for 30 more days. But then it becomes more difficult because the next time you come into the country, they might not let you in. They might force you to get a visa. And that happened a couple of times with some people I know. So the option would be to go get a 3 months visa or a 6 months visa, which is something that you can just get through your embassy, like in US or wherever, before you go to Thailand. And a longer term option would be to get a 1 year visa. So they have here options, like you mentioned, with language learning or with Muay Thai. And that forces you to go to classes. So you actually have to go, I think, a couple times a week to some classes and learn. So spend some time. And the other option is the Thai Elite Visa, which I think is the best option if you can afford it. So the one that I got is for, we currently have several options. The one that I got is for 20 years and it costs 1 million baht. So that's about $32,000. And that basically a visa, it's a renewable 1 year visa. So you can stay in a country for 20 years. And every time you enter, you get a 1 year stamp.
Awesome. Yeah, it definitely seems like the way to go. And I know some listeners might be thinking that's a little bit much, but I know I saw in the group, we connected through the Invest Like a Boss group, and I saw, yeah, I think if we do the math, right, people don't realize, they just look at the total number. But I think if you're really dividing it all out and the travel of all the school costs, all that, I don't know if you'd like to share some of the mathematical processes.
Yeah, so it's like $1,600 per year, and you don't have to do any kind of visa runs. You don't have to worry about it. If you are staying in Thailand, you don't have to go to do extensions. So it's you save a lot of time. You also get some extra like VIP services. So you get fast track from the airport. You might get some limo service to the airport, which is just like a Grab. Yeah, if they call it, it's funny, they call it limo service, but in reality, it's just a regular car that, it's like the same as Grab.
Wow. Did they give
But
you champagne or anything?
yeah, it's not an actual limo. It's very strange. It's just a regular car, and it's actually more complicated than Grab because you have to order it up front, like at least days, and then you have to confirm it, and then like you have to explain and give them the address and everything. So it's easier to just use Grab.
Got it. Yeah, especially in Chiang Mai, it's not so far from the airport and stuff. But there's some perks. Yeah, I mean, I don't have it yet. I'm honestly, for me, I'm on a guardian visa. I have 2 kids, so I'm like a dad. So as long as I pay my kids' school and everything, I'm okay. But it's and I know some people, what they do is, of course, you can set up register a company and hire yourself and hire 4 ties, or there's these services that are gray, I would say. I don't know how legal they are, but you probably heard of these where they can hire you for a fee. You pay yourself through them, which seems like it's somewhat popular in Thailand, but I would say it's on the gray area. But there's different options. But I think for like this Thai Elite visa is, they try to make it a VIP experience. They also will, you don't have to do these travels as much. It's a VIP experience, and they get to show you, you could do the math if you divide out the flights and all these, or the fees or taxes, or if you register the company, etc. I think I've heard others of Thai Elite Visa too say it does work out over the time. Does that mean your 20 years you're a lifer, or I don't know? Just it seems like you must love it here, right? You're for the long term.
I like it. Yeah, I'm not sure how long I'm gonna stay here. I think I can definitely see myself coming to Thailand for a few months every year. And it's nice just to have that option and to know that you are always like a VIP tourist in Thailand, even if you are living on the other side of the globe.
True. You got that. So it has a card. You have like some kind of a special card for this. Must be right on your passport, or is
Yeah,
this?
there is a yeah, it's called the Elite card.
Nice.
It's actually kind of handy. So I showed it a couple of times. Like I showed it at the bank once at the bank,
Okay.
and I noticed how the attitude just changed immediately because I'm usually dressed just like your average backpacker, in shorts and shirts. And they don't pay that much attention because that's how everyone is dressed. And I just showed that the Elite card, and I noticed the attitude immediately changed. Like,
There you go.
okay, like come in, please sit here, and then they try some extra services, like do you want to open another bank account or something like that.
There
And
you
then
go.
they came out with me to show me how to use. I forgot, like there is this extra ATM service, like you set up the bank app and all those things.
Wow.
So it's handy.
That does sound like a good perk. And I think also, some other benefits. Let's talk maybe on a deal flow. So you're buying, selling businesses. I think Thailand is also probably good for networking. I mean, I know there's a lot of community, there's events. Is that part of it? Or, I mean, would you say that's a benefit of Thailand? There must be a lot of people?
I'd say that Chiang Mai has quite a good community of entrepreneurs. Actually, I noticed that you recently interviewed Matt Diggity, who is also living in
Yeah.
Chiang Mai.
Yeah. He's a very active and experienced SEO guy. Definitely recommend checking out that episode for listeners. But yeah, of course, he does a conference for SEO we talked about, and uh, yeah, this place has become the hub for nomads. I guess but there's somewhat of a negative a little bit. Some of my friends, they say it's been, a lot of times newbies come here, right? It's kind of gotten that first destination for the new digital nomad. So, but there's people like you and me and Matt Diggity and others that are spending more time here too. But I think there's also quite a bit of new people, which is fine. Of course at least I welcome, people new to the online business world, and but it does give that ability for people anywhere because it's pretty low costs and pretty welcoming, and there's meetups all the time people can go to, and especially in this industry, you're in the content and SaaS type of business world, there's plenty of that here. But of course we can do online as well, like we're doing this podcast online and other parts. Do you want to share, like, maybe what's the normal day in the life for you at Domain Magnate? Like some deals, you want examples or some ways you would do your normal work?
Yeah, yeah. So there is quite a big community, like you mentioned, and the majority are starting out. So Chiang Mai mostly attracts people that want to go and kind of figure things out and try to start the online business. But there are also quite a few people that have established businesses and some serious companies. I know there are quite a few FBA people here as well. There are so many events, it's crazy. Like every day there is something. There are entrepreneurs events that attract like a couple hundred people, and it's just a random weekly event, for example. So the scene is quite big. So for me personally, um, in terms of the business, what we do is we buy different mostly content and SaaS sites. So for example, last month we bought a content business that makes about $150,000 in profit, and so we are working on that.
Great.
Before that, we acquired the SaaS business with about $50,000 in annual profit, and so that's the kind of businesses we deal with. For me personally, my lifestyle, it's one of the things I like about Thailand is, of course, the cost. So everything is kind of cheap, and you can get some really good services in Chiang Mai for most things.
True.
So I'm able to have a really good lifestyle here without spending, nearly as much as I would in other places. So I'm able to. So I have a personal trainer that goes with me to the gym every day, and he's a professional bodybuilder, like one of the top bodybuilders in Thailand, for example.
Nice.
Yeah, like I have a bodywork specialist that I go to every once in a while just to do some massage to help with some, with some posture and spine alignment, things like that. Like the medical service is also very good, like doing medical checkups and things like that. That's pretty good here and expensive, not expensive. Going to a pool and just things like that with food it's possible to get excuse me, there's healthy, good quality food also at reasonable prices. So you can pretty much get anything you want at inexpensively here. That's what I like.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I mean, it's also what's that, medical tourism. I think Thailand's a top place globally for people take a vacation, do some medical things, and you still save money net from doing it in your home country. So I think there's a huge industry for that here. But of course, if you and I we're living here, we can just do it anytime we want to. But some people, make it a trip. And so let's back to your business lifestyle. So you're, you have your personal trainer and, your masseuse. and then you're doing your business trade. So like you mostly doing it online, or is there any off? I mean, are you doing this at events in person, or is this purely like calls like this and email? Is there any offline element, or are you purely online?
Yeah, it's all been online so far. Actually, it's interesting. I've never done an online deal offline. I've done some offline deals offline. Like I bought some properties here and there. So that's something that you have to do offline, of course. But when it comes to online businesses, it's only been online deals.
Okay. So there's no like a meeting in a garage, and one person brings a suitcase and one person brings the domain transfer.
Yeah, that's not yet.
Yeah.
But there are definitely meetings and meetups. So like some of the people that I've done deals with, we've met before in person, but somehow the deals themselves have just always happened online. I don't know. That's how it's been.
Sure. I mean, I think that's the beautiful thing about buying and selling online businesses. Like you can do it anywhere. And of course, there's usually it's like a checklist, of course, the domain, any kind of servers, customer databases. But that's the beautiful thing about doing online business is it's pretty transferable and can be done online. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that they are going into some bigger scales, and we are getting close to looking at businesses, around $1 million, I expect that there will be a bit more offline deals as well. So I expect that for some of those deals, I might get to meet some of the sellers and negotiate a little bit directly. So that might happen soon.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I think events are great for that, and networking, and finding more opportunities and more deals. So, yeah, I mean, I think this has been a fun conversation, and maybe you can share a little bit about how your business works or how people can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. So if you have a content business that you want to sell, a content or a SaaS business, right now we do not buy FBA businesses, but we'll probably get into that next year. So you can just contact us by going to domain magnate.com/sell. Or you can look me up directly. Just Google Michael Bereslavsky and contact me through Facebook or Twitter.
Cool.
And this is for sellers. We also have different services for investors, and we have a concierge buying service as well if you're looking to buy established businesses. And we are currently starting a podcast which should go live sometime this month in August.
Great. So that'll be on the site if people can just find the podcast tab to subscribe or listen in.
Yeah, it will be everywhere. It will be
iTunes, yeah.
And we already recorded a couple interesting episodes. The first one of the first ones was with the CEO of Flipper.
Nice.
So we have some really interesting discussions.
Okay, great. I'll check it out too. And so this has been a great talk, Michael. Thanks for your time. And I think you'll give some people some insights about maybe why Thailand, some of the options, also for the immigration things. So thank you. And we should also talk too. I mean, I'm actually pretty active in the FBA space here in the content SaaS. So hopefully there's some ways we can also collaborate as well.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. And thanks for having me. Pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure. Are you making payments in and out of Asia? Do you want a simple and lower cost way to do that? Check out GoRemit.hk, one of our long-term sponsors here at Global from Asia, supporting the show. If you enjoy what you're listening to, you can check them out. If you have a Hong Kong bank and you want to make payments to other parts of Asia and just pay a small commission on your transaction rather than these fixed costs and other hassles of dealing with traditional banks, they are definitely a good place to check out. Of course, free to apply. Go through the KYC process. Once you're approved, you can make payments to China, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, and many other places. Check it out, www.goremit.hk. Okay, thank you, Michael, for sharing. I love making connections and making people 1 + 1 = 3, hopefully, in life. At least that's what we should all be working towards. I'll plan to meet up with him soon and talk some business. So, a little bit, I said in my blah, blah, blah section at the end, I'm going to talk about some of my experiences in Thailand for the last year. Michael and I were chatting about it after the interview, too. He was like, oh, you're here? Why are you here? Wow. And he also said other foreigners he knows that have Chinese girlfriends or relationships also have recently moved down to Chiang Mai, Thailand. So first, maybe I spent almost over 10 years. 2007, I moved to Shenzhen, China, for sourcing and opportunity seeking entrepreneur or sucker for punishment, maybe as well. I like a challenge. I like chaotic things. That's a lot of friends I met in China like that too, the adventure. And then you get married, you get kids, life changes. So for me, and also the environment in China has changed a lot. I mean, now it's really crazy. I mean, a lot of my friends said, wow, good thing you moved last year. It seems like a war zone literally happening, at least in the Hong Kong side, but which is sad. Makes me actually tear up a little bit. But it's not why I had left. I had left mostly for my kids' educational choice. That's what I told Michael after the interview too. If you want English education in China, you're paying, I think, at least $20,000-$30,000 a year for kindergarten, which is insane, right? And of course, I could have moved back to America. I'm an American. Could have hung out with my American friends or those in America. But I'm not yet ready to put my hat up and hang up in Asia. And Thailand's only a couple hours away. There's tons of direct flights directly into Chiang Mai and, of course, into Bangkok. It's just an hour flight from Bangkok. So, but I think the name number one was the kids' school. I'm not down in Neiman. And Michael's based in Neiman. And I try to get there when I can for some events. But I'm kind of up in the burbs. I'm about 20 or so minutes away from downtown Chiang Mai. And I'm in a house. I pay $600 a month for a 2-story house, 4-bedroom. I guess what you consider a bedroom, maybe even more. 3 bathrooms and a little bit of a yard. Not like an American suburb yard, but kids can kick a ball around, and it's a gated community. And we're about 10 or so minutes from the school. I wish I could walk there. I walk to school. My mom and dad always wanted me to walk to school. I wish I could have walked my kids to school, but there's super highways in between here and the school, so we're not walking distance. But I'm so far happy with it. It was a bit of a nightmare in the immigration for me. I'm a parent visa or a guardian visa, so I paid my kids' school up front. I had to have a certain amount of money in the bank, a certain amount of waiting time and processing and converting a visa from one to another. All this nightmare and the lines. It actually seems to have gotten better, even in the last year. But as in anything, the transition and the first part of anything is always the hardest. And I would say in this blah 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 section, I'm a family man. I'm a dad. I'm working online, doing this podcast in my little. Actually, I kicked my daughter out of this bedroom. I use one of the bedrooms as my studio, and they pop in sometimes to say hello, even though I tell them not to, which I know is other dads or moms working at home get a co-working space or office somewhere, but I still insist to work here. Usually I get a lot of my work done in the morning anyway, as much as I can. The brain work, the maker work. Afternoon is like the email and the phone calls and the communications type of work. But we are working really hard here, and we can work anywhere. So I mean, in Thailand, then I try to spend the evening with my kids. It's no matter how rich you are, you still need time. Time is, I think, the best asset. So I'm really trying to spend as much time with my kids as I can, and just want to make a good life for them. I know I won't get these years back, So I'm hanging out in the suburbs of Thailand. I've had some friends make it out to here, and they're like, "Wow, you're like kind of in the American suburbs of Thailand." It's true. I mean, you can't even walk. There's no 7-Elevens. I mean, I can cross a highway. It'll be about a 10-minute walk to a 7-Eleven. So, but this is what I chose when I left China. I wanted this more family-oriented life, online-based work. I definitely think Thailand or many parts of Southeast Asia. Of course, people are all crazy about Vietnam and other places, but for me, I'm a dad first. I'm probably losing out on some business opportunities. Did a pretty cool deal with Alpha Rock and Mark and them, and we'll get them more into show, of course, as well. But I'm happy I moved to Thailand. I don't know. Of course, we never know what would have happened if we had stayed where we were or went to a different place. But as far as this blah, blah, blah section of my first year, the first few months were a little bit stressful. I think anywhere, new place, especially if you're trying to go through the immigration of any country and the unknowns. Your kids' school, but their English has improved so much. When Miles was Maggie wasn't old enough to go into school when we were in China, but he had one English class a day. And I don't want to disrespect anybody, but the English teacher that I had met, it's not somebody I would invite over for dinner, let's say. But anyway, I don't know. I wasn't so satisfied with the English level, and we were paying about $10,000 a year or something for that. So it was like no English, not much English learning, and Maggie's coming up for that as well. So 20 grand a year for 2 kids, and little to no English, I feel was a little bit hard. And yeah, I could teach my kids English. I could spend hours a day trying to teach them the alphabet. Of course, I read to them, but they need proper education. I can't self-educate my kids, honestly, even if I cut out a certain amount of hours. So I don't have patience, to be honest. And I like to do my online work, and of course spend time with my kids, but I can't be their teacher. So we looked around, and I know a lot of my friends said, "Oh, Vietnam." I'm like, "Do you got kids?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Do you know anybody that has kids that goes to school there?" And they're like, "No." Like 1 or 2 said yes, but then I looked, and then they were maybe in corporate jobs that would pay their kids' school fee, and it was $25,000 a year or something. I mean, seriously, I can't. I don't even know if I had that kind of money. I would want to spend $25,000 a year for my kids' kindergarten. I just feel like that's insanity. So, anyways. I feel here in Thailand I'm paying about 7 or 8 a year for each kid. It keeps increasing every grade. Miles has moved up to K3 now, so the price has gone up every year steadily. And then I was cracking up. I'm paying the bill. Literally, this month I was paying the bill for the school. We brought the kids and my wife, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we forgot about another charge, and we're gonna." Last year we did a survey, and in the survey they said that they didn't like the food and they wanted more choices, and some of the kids didn't have enough food. So now we're going to move to a buffet style lunch instead of a set lunch, and that's going to be another 10,000 baht a semester a kid. So sorry, gotta add 20,000 baht more for you this year. I'm laughing. I'm like, I had that, like, when I was your age, I ate those, like, I don't know, tater tots, and like, what was one of those U.S. presidents said ketchup counts as a vegetable? I was eating with those styrofoam plates, and that's the kind of lunch I ate. Or my mom would give me a doggy bag of lunch, pack a lunch for me. I think we would usually buy the hot lunch. I remember it's like hot lunch or a cold lunch. I think I'll get the hot lunch, but these guys are going to get a buffet lunch now. So I guess they're, getting the good life, and they're definitely getting a lot of outdoor stuff. I'm up in the burbs of Thailand, Chiang Mai, in the mountains, and my wife's pretty happy. There's so many Chinese here, so half the time I can't even remember if I left China. We're in like a Saturday night families get together, and they're all speaking Chinese. Even the kids are speaking Chinese, and I'm just like this white dude on a phone, kind of like my life in China again. But anyway, so far everybody seems happy. It's definitely a slower paced life. But of course I get out. I come back to China. I was just in Manila. I was in Bangkok. So the kids and wife are happy here, and I go out for my war battles into these war zones. Literally, I probably gotta go to Hong Kong soon, and gotta strap up, man. Get my shields and gas masks on before I go and kiss wife and kids goodbye. And I hope I can make it back to the burbs in Chiang Mai and the mountains of North Thailand. So thanks so much for choosing to listen to Global from Asia. Getting up to 6 years here, and please try to support our sponsors. We have some regulars, GoRemit.hk. I try to plug them on a lot of the shows for cross-border payments, and of course one of our sponsors or our partners or my, a lot of my time now is alpharockcapital.com. Definitely check them out for Amazon FBA. And we got even our guest today, Domain Magnate. Michael is buying SaaS and content businesses, which kind of all works out. You can buy and sell all these kind of different businesses and move out to Thailand and live the good life in the mountains. Come on out. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
To get more info about running an international business, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.